Member of the Power 50 of top talk radio shows streamed on the internet. We now return to Aaron Klein.
Continuing right now to really dissect the madness that has gripped the news media and the Democrat Party, and then some of the American public, because you can fool some of the people some of the time. We're going to get back to the Shooter's Manifesto in just a bit, the manifesto that we shouldn't even be paying attention to. The guy's a raving lunatic who cares what his politics are. This was not about politics. This was about who knows what. But there are some legitimate questions here that the media is especially ignoring right now. Usually after mass shootings, they ignore this stuff anyway. But right now, clearly, their entire objective is, after tarnishing Trump for many months now, in fact, for 2 years, lying about him repeatedly, claiming that he said things about Charlottesville and neo-Nazis that he 100% did not say, and they know it, and yet they repeat it. And they do it in this very dangerous game that they are playing to try to tarnish this president ahead of 2020. So they're never going to talk about this, but I want to zero in, sort of get away from politics for just a minute and take a closer look at one part of the Shooter's Manifesto. Here he specifically wrote, quote, "Remember, it is not cowardly to pick low-hanging fruit, aka don't attack heavily guarded areas to fulfill your super soldier COD fantasy." Now, he's referring here, for those of you who don't know, to a very popular video game, one that has really grabbed a hold of young kids, of millennials. First of all, so you have questions here. Yes, I know people listening right now probably play video games. I don't think if you play video games that there's anything wrong with you or that it means that you're going to become a mass shooter. However, I don't know. We need to ask questions. Sometimes maybe in a tiny, tiny segment of the population, let's say you already have maybe underlying mental illness, and anyone who commits a shooting attack like this is totally mentally ill. There's no question about that. So he had to have had some mental illness. Then, maybe we can raise some questions. I would like to know what drugs he was taking. Were they legal, illegal? If they were legal, what are the side effects? And then if you look at the side effects, it may be a tiny, tiny portion. So again, it doesn't mean if you're taking antidepressants, you're a mass shooter. Similar to if you support Trump, you are not a mass shooter or a racist. But that's different because Trump is not a mass shooter or a racist. That's a hoax. But if you're taking medication, sometimes, maybe in a tiny, tiny segment of the population, I would like this to be studied. Maybe if there's certain, who knows, maybe something about someone's DNA, their biochemistry, whatever it is, and then you mix it with certain medication, maybe this combined with perhaps other things in their life can spark what we are seeing today, which is in a very, very tiny segment of the population, clearly like 0.00001%, it results perhaps in people committing attacks, murder, violence. Now you can add into this the idea of video games. If you have somebody mentally ill, if perhaps they're taking drugs or not, and then they're playing games where they're sort of fused in with reality at this point, or they're living in an alternate universe inside of their television sets with, now they have 3D, they're wearing it, they're shooting in very realistic video games that have become almost like beyond watching television, very realistic. They're shooting at people, and you combine all of this, I don't know, I think that questions need to be asked. Now, joining me right now is Joshua Klein, who is a researcher for this radio show and for Breitbart. Are you following sort of what I'm saying here? I know that there are some very interesting statistics about millennials and video games.
Yeah, before even going into the statistics, right now, like you kind of explained in your monologue, the amount of time that a lot of these millennials are spending on video games aren't like that for an hour or two, a couple hours a week even, and the nature of video games too are, more Mario Kart-like. First of all, you have people that are literally playing video games, 12, 18 hours a day, where it's actually gotten to the point where there's a whole cottage industry now to actually treat video game addiction like other drug addictions. It really is on that level. So that is where we are actually here in America. And also the nature of these games, I mean, it's not what it used to be. There actually used to be, I think, warning labels, or, just like movies were rated, X and R and things like that. I believe some video games actually still are, because they are so graphic and violent and realistic. So you have people literally sitting, playing these games for 12, 18 hours a day. How realistic these games are is, beyond belief. They have no, sense of community. They obviously they're not so connected to religion or, any part of, a larger social cohesion in life. And then, actually this week it's interesting. There's been a few very important polls that probably didn't get the attention that it deserves, but I think this plays into that picture. The YouGov did a study of millennials, and they found out that 27% of millennials, they said, have no close friends at all. And then on top of that, 25% said that they had no quote-unquote acquaintances, and then 22%, which is over about a little bit over 1 in 5, said that they have no, buddies or close friends at all. So, I mean, this is actual statistics. This isn't speculation. So, that's pretty powerful. And then you take that in combination, what I mentioned before, that's a recipe for disaster. And I agree with you that it's, a very small segment of the population. And then also and they're usually also susceptible to, outside stimuli, adding that to the media hysteria. If you even watch the media, what they're seeing on the media is basically what they're seeing on the video games. Is nonstop graphic violence. And then another interesting study actually came out. This one was from the UK, but I'm sure it would mirror the same thing in America. And that one had it, the headline is 9 in 10 young Britons believe their lives have no purpose. They actually, same thing, millennials, they interviewed them. It's a very credible poll. And over 84%, they said that their lives literally have no purpose. So, I mean, you take all of this in first of all, context, and then combination. I definitely agree that there is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, there's something explosive, and then to watch now the media ignore all of that, which is probably more of the cause, and then take one sentence out of a manifesto that actually is quite leftist and blame Trump.
זה הסיפור כי את יפה גם בלי פור אני מודה אני מכור רק לשטויות שלנו יחד כל השנים איתך לחיות או לא להיות אחרי הכל נוכל גם לנסות איך אני נסחר עדיין